This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have two good neighbors on the show, Jeff and Shannon Cunningham of Sober Sips. Jeff and Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, guys. I'm looking forward to getting in this. Anytime I hear the word sober, as many of the guests know on the show, I work at a great facility on the weekend called Cornerstone Recovery, just helping people get through sobriety and all that. So I see sober and I think I'm interested in this. So let's talk about that. What is Sober Sips?
Sober Sips. So we are currently an online and a bricks and mortar retailer of all things non-alcoholic. So we started in our house. We started as a home-based online business in May of 2023. And then recently this year, June or end of May this year, we were able to transition into a bricks and mortar location downtown Barrie. So we cater to all of those kind of niche or harder to find non-alcoholic products, the beer, the wine, the mocktails, right down to spirits, full bottles of tequila and whiskey. Trying to give that non-alcoholic or that sober person the options, right, for all of those kind of adult-orientated beverages, all of the fun of the taste, but none of the buzz.
Really? So it actually tastes like it?
Absolutely, my friend. Beer, wow. Spirits in the mix, mocktails, rosé wine, white wine, no problem. We have to have a bit of a conversation about the red wine. So come on down to the store and we'll have a little conversation about red wine and setting some expectations. But yeah, it's all there. The taste is there.
So you guys, is this like a bar, this brick and mortar?
Not at the moment. Right now, we are just a retail store.
Oh, it's a retail store. Okay.
Yeah. So we're currently in the process of moving to a new location. And the end goal there would be to open a fully sober bar.
So you guys currently are like an LCBO for sober people.
We are the non-alcoholic LCBO, the NLCBO.
NLCBO, I love it. I've never even heard of this concept before. Is this a thing, or did you guys literally create the idea?
No, we definitely didn't, but obviously our marketing needs to do some work if you didn't hear about us yet. So no, we didn't create the idea.
Okay.
This idea was kind of born for us out of some changes in some lifestyle on this end, right? So 2022, I was pushing probably just close to 300 pounds and had to make some significant life choices, right? I had to decide where my calories were going to come from. And quite frankly, Jeff, I love pizza. So I couldn't give up pizza too much, but I had to give up some other stuff. So we started searching around on the web and found all these great options and had to ship it in, right? So we're paying money to ship, or, we're trying to meet high minimums on websites to bring it in and try some stuff. And as you find, as you go down on your sober journey or your mindful drinking journey, and you're going to try some of this stuff, some of it's not for everybody, right? So we were looking for a spot where we could go and try a little bit of this and try a little bit of that and find out what we really liked. And there wasn't one. Simcoe County didn't have anything. In fact, there wasn't anything within about 100-kilometer radius to find that good, curated, quality, non-alcoholic beverages. So that's where we started. We thought, okay, well, we need to bring this to to Barrie. We need to bring this to Simcoe. So that's where we started.
I didn't even, like, as I said, I've heard of non-alcoholic beer before. Being in this world for as long as I have, I can't believe I haven't heard more of it, like whiskey, tasting like whiskey, and actually buying a bottle of it, not just creating your own home concoction. So you guys are a retail store. I can go on there, order online. It'll be shipped to my place, or do I pick it up at your brick and mortar?
You can do either or. You can visit us in Dunlop Street downtown. Come and shop with us there, or you can order online. There's another great local company who has given us the ability to offer local delivery, and then we also do Canada-wide shipping.
I think I know that local delivery company, and they are great.
I think you may, yeah.
Just Simcoe's great.
There we go.
Anybody in Simcoe County can have us most of the time same day delivery for $5. So if you find downtown a little hard to find parking, or you find it hard to traverse, hop online for $5. We'll bring it to your door.
Yeah. Amazing. It's such a cool thing. So yeah, I have so many questions that are way off script. So we stay focused because it's like squirrel.
You got to come and see us, man.
I'm definitely coming. There's no question about it. I mean, most of my world on the sobriety side has been in York Region. I've lived there the majority of my life, now spending most of my time in Simcoe County and soon to be moving there. So not too involved with the community there, although Cornerstone Recovery does have our women's residential facility there where they stay overnight. But it just hasn't come up that much in Simcoe County. It's mainly business there. But to know about these places is fantastic. I just love this idea. So what I want to know is, how did this story start? Because there's no question this is unique. Even if this idea is in other places, like maybe California or something like that, I could imagine. But you have to be the only one in Simcoe County.
As far as we're aware, we're the only fully non-alc bottle shop in Simcoe County. We have noticed that there are some options that are popping up in grocery stores recently, which is exciting. It's a growing industry for sure. But yeah, like Jeff was saying, it started out of a weight loss journey for him. He had decided part of his weight loss journey was giving up beer and looking for a non-alc alternative to that. And shipping it in from everywhere was getting a little bit expensive and crazy. And he just kept saying that the option should be there for people to be able to go and find this. And it started to appeal to me. I was working as a law clerk and I went to school for social service work. So I loved that in some way I could be helping people if I were to hop on board with Jeff's vision here.
Well, Jeff, you are a very committed man. Prior to marketing for me, the last 12 years or so, the main industry I was in was fitness. I had a couple of my own gyms. I started at Good Life, been a personal trainer for a long time. It's the foundation for my life for sure. Movement, nutrition, and sleep. And I've had my weight gain and weight loss goals. I've met, dozens and dozens of people who wanted the same thing, but most of us didn't open a business because we wanted to cut our calories. So, I mean, it's one thing to be like, okay, I'm going to identify the thing that I'm consuming an unnecessary amount of calories, let's call it beer, and then just cut the beer down. That's where most of us end, man. You decided to open up an entire online and brick and mortar business. There has to be more to it than that.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So the 100-pound weight loss journey was a tough year. We did that in about a year's time. Started January. Quick, yeah. Well, if I had to do it all over again, I learned a lot in that year, dude. I would definitely do it different, and I would do it slower if I could do it again. I work with some guys now and try to help them on that same journey because weight loss and fitness, it's information. A lot of people don't have that information, but that's a whole separate, we can have a whole separate conversation and podcast about fiber and protein and macros and steps in water. But for this particular one, it wasn't so much like the weight loss is what inspired me or us to start looking at these options. Absolutely. Can't deny that. But that, like, to bring Sober Sips to Barrie, the thought process wasn't how do we help other people cut calories and lose weight. As we started doing more and more research into the non-alcoholic world, and of course, as you're researching the non-alcoholic beverage market, of course, you're going to come across stories of addiction and despair and just different things out there that this could be a benefit for, like not just fitness, but like Shannon was saying, the social aspect of this business. Like by no stretch of the imagination do we think we're philanthropists by opening a non-alcoholic business, but every time somebody comes in and they share, just like you were talking about earlier, sharing stories, right? When we hear somebody that says, you know what, I'm in recovery, I've been in recovery for 27 years and your stuff helps me. I've just been diagnosed with cancer and I can't drink alcohol anymore. And your stuff helps me feel like I'm part of that scene still. I'm part of that party, right? There's a lot of social pressure and a lot of social stigma around alcohol, right? Like when you're that person at the party or the function with a can of pop or a bottle of water in your hand, a lot of people are going to come up to you and say, hey man, let me get you a drink. Let me get you a beer. And a lot of the times, and we've experienced this ourselves. No, I'm good. that's not good enough, apparently, for a lot of people. No, they don't take no for that answer. They're no, come on. I mean, like, and some of those stories, man, as you know, they're so personal, right? Like you don't ask somebody that's saying, no, thank you. Well, why not? Right? Because, it's a trigger for a lot of people. Right. So as we kind of grew into this and as we were doing our research, and did we find that the non-alcoholic market is growing? Absolutely significantly growing. The alcohol sales are dropping year over year, and non-alcoholic sales are growing much more year over year. So of course that was obviously also something that enticed us. We can't deny that. But as we're seeing stories of people out there and how much this helps, we thought, holy moly, how can we also make these options available to local, right? Like, I'm from Barrie. I've been in and out of Barrie my whole entire life. My great grandparents were here, I think, at the start of Barrie. Like this is my home. Shannon and her kids moved here 5 years ago and I fell in love with the area. We see this as our ability to kind of help and get out there. Like, we keep getting asked, like, multiple locations and sell on Amazon and all this stuff. Get on, like, I have no interest. We have no interest in having 62 locations across Canada. We have no interest in selling on Amazon. We want to stay here and serve here and be part of this community. Our growth goals aren't lofty. Like, we want to be able to grow to the point where we can safely say, 10% of our proceeds from February go to Cornerstone. June, we're supporting MAD Simcoe County. Those are a couple of great people in the Simcoe County MAD chapter over there. We want to support CAMH. We want to support local, and that's what we're here for. So we saw a gap in the industry in Simcoe County and thought, man, oh man, someone's got to fill this gap. So here we are.
I love it. While you're saying this, I'm just picturing this scene in my head. You got this nice bar. People are, walking around, mingling, having a great time. Food there, getting their drinks in their fancy cups, feeling a part of it, probably ending at midnight rather than 4 a.m, and everybody drives home without a worry. Yeah. And it's so interesting, the psychology behind our social interactions and pressure. So much of it I don't know, but I will say, when you're drinking that Coke and you're at a party and everybody else is drinking, immediately you may not be able to put your finger on it or say the words, but there is a discomfort there now. You're standing out. So just to have a glass that looks like whiskey or whatever it is, now you're a part of it. And that conversation doesn't have to come up 15 times that night. Why aren't you getting on our level? All this kind of stuff. So that conversation now bleeds away. But if everybody's on that level, having their martini glasses and things like that, I imagine the party would be as good, in many cases better, because there's not going to be any of the shit that comes with being hammered. There's always one or two of those people that cause some shit. But that is a beautiful picture that's painted in my head right now of this cool bar. Nobody's taking in a ridiculous amount of calories, having some food, dressing up, having a great time. I'm very excited that that's where you guys are going. But for now, we can have that party at our home with your products. It's just fantastic. And I honestly thought you were going to share a story about something to do with struggling with booze, the word sober sip. It's very cool that it came from a reduction in calories, weight loss, lifestyle choice. It's just fantastic, man. Is this something a lot of people don't think about? Is when you start drinking, often it speeds up the amount you're consuming, right? Because we start to lose our faculties. And 100-calorie beer, now you've had 12 of them. Most people average calories 2,000 to 2,500. Means in that evening, maybe you've had half of a day or 3/4 of a day's worth in calories, and it can add up. Amazing for weight loss. I love it. It's just fantastic. So one of the questions, we talk about education a lot here, right? So we talk about the myths and misconceptions about the people's products that come on the show. Because as we were talking about a moment ago and in the pre-show, sometimes it's just a little bit of knowledge, information that's needed to take the next step or avoid the next hurdle. But I don't know what myths or misconceptions to ask you about because I've never heard of this idea before. So maybe one thing comes to mind right away. I know we talked about this, but maybe you can dive into it a bit more. The taste. Is that real? Like real? Outside of red wine?
So that's where Jeff was headed at the beginning of this conversation. When it comes to the beers and the mocktails, they are pretty spot on. We have phenomenal feedback. The spirits are fantastic for mixing. So we have a lot of people that are very curious to give them a try. They want to know what they taste like. When you're mixing, they add that complexity back into your drink. You get the burn when you're swallowing like you would with the alcohol. So yeah, very true to taste for mixing. If you're drinking them neat, it starts to change a little bit there. So we bring in non-alcoholic bitters, and we have had one of our customers tell us it was a literal game changer for him when he started mixing with the bitters, so you can drink them neat. When it comes to the wine, that's probably one of the most controversial conversations that come up. We get, it's just juice from the people on the sidelines that are mocking. So definitely not just juice. The wines have gone through the whole fermentation process. They have actually started out as a bottle of wine with alcohol, and then they go through an extra step to remove the alcohol. Hence the price of them. That's another thing that comes up often, is why is it so expensive if it doesn't have alcohol in it? Yeah. So actually more expensive to create. But when it comes to the reds specifically, you will find that they are a little bit different than a glass of wine with alcohol. So if I were to pour you a glass of juice, it's not going to taste like juice. You are going to have the tannins. You're going to have those notes that are in there. They've often been aged in the oak barrels, all of the things that would happen with wine with alcohol. So not juice. If I were to give it to you beside a glass of wine with alcohol, you're also going to notice a difference. And we're quite upfront and honest about that. We want to set expectations realistically with people. But what you're left with is something that's sort of in the middle lane. So it's going to be a little bit thinner than your regular wine, but it's definitely going to have the complexities, the notes, the tannins, and you're going to have your sophisticated glass of wine and enjoy that.
So we talk a lot in the store about setting expectations, like Shannon said. So we've taken, on a glass of wine, average between anywhere from 17 or 21% of the ethanol away, right? So that's a big portion of that glass of red wine. The ethanol is the thickening agent. The ethanol is the bitter. The ethanol is the punch, right? So the feedback is a lot of times, like Shannon said, juice, right? Because it's thinner and it's sweeter. Right, you're going to find on the back of not all bottles of wine, alcoholic wine, but quite a few, the sugar content is quite high, right? Because that ethanol, when they add all that ethanol into that, the alcohol makes it a harder pill to swallow. So they add the sugar to sweeten it up. Well, non-alcoholic wine's a little bit different. Because we don't have that ethanol, we're left with the sweetness of the fruit. So we've got to find ways to bring that bite back. So we have a lot of different tips and tricks, which we'll keep to ourselves. You got to come down and see us to get the tips and the tricks. But there's different products to add some bitter solution back to that. Shout out to Bark and Bitter from St. Catharines. We try to support as much Canadian product as we possibly can. Nick's a great dude, won a bunch of awards at the World Non-Alcoholic Awards last year. And his product, specifically designed for red wine, helps to balance some of that body, some of that bite back to that glass of wine. So yeah, lots of different ways to make it there. The more time we spend in the non-alcoholic world, especially with wine, the more accustomed or acclimatized our palate becomes.
Sure.
In the store, I challenge customers all the time, and I say, look, at that first time you were at grandma's house and you and your cousins were old enough to steal that glass of wine off of grandma's table, and you all ran downstairs and you took a sip, you all went,
yeah,
that's gross, right? Wine, like a lot of things in adult life, are an acquired taste. The more time you spend with it, the more your palate refines to it, the more your taste buds and your brain are connected.
Sure.
So the more time we spend with it, the more time it becomes that normalized thing.
Oh yeah, I still haven't acquired a taste for wine. I'm still like a 6-year-old in grandma's kitchen. Yeah, not tasty to me.
We often attribute it to, think of it like milk. You drink dairy milk your whole life, and then all of a sudden I hand you a glass of oat milk and say, here you go.
It's a shock.
Right? It's a shock. It's a little bit different. And we're talking specifically red wine here, not the other categories. But when we understand the health benefits of that red wine or that oat milk, we understand the mental clarity that's going to help bring us, and understand the lower calories it's going to help bring us. It's a balanced scale. I'm willing to accept some of that bite that I was getting before because the benefits of my health and my mental clarity and my well-being outweigh that punch, right? It outweighs that fuzzy brain that I'm looking for. We get like we're people. We get into routines. We get home, we want to unwind. So what do we go for? We go for that glass of wine. And then the one glass of wine, obviously, and then it becomes easier for two. Then it's easier for three, right? So we've got to accept some stuff with red wine to I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, Jeff, but when we balance it out, to me, the health benefits, the mental benefits, it outweighs it entirely.
Oh yeah, and
I apologize to our dogs are in and around us here.
I love it.
We're trying to do this.
I love it. You know,
there they are, right on cue.
What was I going to say? No, the health benefits massively outweigh the downside. There's no question about it. And we're often creatures of habit. I would say not often. We are probably always creatures of habit. So some of the actions we take compete with what we're actually looking for. Like somebody says, I need to relax. I'm going to go have a cigarette. If you look into the, the chemicals behind cigarettes, it doesn't relax you at all. It actually increases blood pressure. It's a stimulant. So I've just been told something, cigarettes equal relaxation. So I do it without actually checking in with my body. Same thing with alcohol. Some people use it to pick them up, even though it's depressant, brings them down. So if it's just, I need something to unwind and this thing helps me unwind, I tell myself that story enough, even remove the alcohol a few months later, I imagine that will become a habit and I will adjust my lifestyle to it without the shit that comes with it, which is fantastic. So let's talk about some of the shit that comes with it outside of the booze, obviously. But you went down this journey to reduce calories. So I'm assuming the non-alcoholic beverages have a reduction in calories in some way.
Yeah, a lot do. Some don't. Like we're not going to sit here and paint all products with the same brush, right? Some of the beer out there, we stock some stuff in the store, some dessert stouts as high as over 200 calories. So we still have to be mindful, right? Because that 200 calorie beer might be a treat that I work into my calories for the day, but it's not my everyday go-to, but it might be somebody else's, everyday go-to, who knows? So we still got to watch the back of the labels. Big shout out to Lake of Bays, another local brewery. They do a great near zero line. And that's kind of where I started when I found their lagered ale with 15 calories and no carbs and no sugar. I wasn't even tracking that. Like I got my beer flavor fix for 15 calories, and I wasn't going to end up having a snacksident and order a pizza, at midnight. I was going to be able to go pick up my kid, and I was going to be able to engage with my wife and have a conversation coherently and with her while still enjoying the beer flavor. That's great. A lot of the wine, like we were saying before, is already lower sugar because we don't need that added sugar to boost, to take away that bite, right? So you got to be mindful, like you got to be watching because some stuff can creep up, but for the most part, you're going to have a little bit lower calorie count, a lot lower sugar count. And of course, because with alcohol metabolizes in your body as sugar, right? We're not going to have that effect inside of us as well when we consume the product.
Yeah. And I imagine it's just what happens when we drink. I can't see myself like if it was a Friday night and, let's say I'm a 6 to 10 beer drinker at the party type thing. It's because of the high that comes with it. That you have a goal to reach. So you're like, I know I need to do 6 to 10 beers, whatever it is, because of the effect. With the non-alcoholic beer, you're probably going to do that a lot less as there's no high that's coming with it. So maybe we clarify to the audience that some of the things have less calories, certainly less sugar, but it's because you're likely going to reduce your consumption significantly. That's where the calories over a month's time or a 6-month period, going from drinking booze to now non-alcoholic, what is it, a 10-fold, 20-fold? It's probably a very large difference.
Oh, huge. Yeah, like when I talk into my weight loss guys, we talk about calories on the week, right?
Yeah, that's what we look at per week.
Yeah, not on the day. So when you're sitting down after work and you maybe forgot that, that Miller Lite, it's a light beer, but we're still at, like we talked earlier, probably 90-ish calories in that bottle. 3 of those, 4 of those, like it adds up quick.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely adds up real fast.
Yeah, especially on those cheat days. I'm glad you look at it that way. Wherever you're getting your information from, it's good because most people don't look at calories on a weekly level. Like if you're 2,000 calories a day, 7 days a week, you're 14,000 for a week. You have your Sunday cheat day, as we often do. There's your 6-7 beers, and you've spilled over for the entire week, ruined all of that sacrifice.
Yep.
So just by a little bit more information, we can better plan out our weeks, still hit our goals, still get the taste. I love what you guys are doing. It's fantastic. So let's pivot a little bit, talk about the personal, even though you shared some of your story. Easy question. What puts a smile on the two of your faces? Let's start with you, Shannon. Outside of work, outside of family, because those are the two main responses I get, and I don't want them.
Okay.
We want to know about you.
Well, part of it is going to be sort of family.
Come on.
The dogs back here, they have got us very active. So when we're not at the store, every chance we get, we're out exploring a new trail, a new hike somewhere. And that's something that we've really enjoyed together, especially during the pandemic. That was sort of all there was to do. So we went chasing waterfalls. We went finding every sort of adventure trail that we could. And you discover it's pretty beautiful around here.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jeff said, I moved here just in the middle of the pandemic, actually, from Kingston area, which was also quite beautiful. But the little small town I was in, oddly enough, didn't have a lot of trails that were accessible to everybody. There was a lot of beautiful private properties, but I was blown away coming to Barrie and Simcoe region at just how much there is that you can go and explore here. And that's been fun.
Yeah, beautiful. Can we see the pups? Is that possible?
We can try. Lots of people see Bruce. We use him in advertising because he's Bruce.
Oh my God! Look at this guy.
Hello, Bruce.
That's Bruce, eh?
That's
Hey,
Bruce.
Bruce. What kind of dog is he? I feel like I think I know, but go ahead.
Bernese Mountain Dog.
Wow, I did not know that. Actually,
Oliver. Oliver is like we say he looks like a coyote, but this is Oliver.
Hey, buddy, you hanging out with mom and dad? Just chilling, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, what it would be like to be a dog.
Yeah, so they've been messing around the curtains and in and out all around us.
Well, that was one of the things we wanted about the show is when we first started, it was super high production quality because we were trying to copy all the other great podcasts out there. And then we would have guests on the show, which don't have the same production quality. And now it's very disparaging between the two. And then we just dropped it. We did real people in real settings, real conversations. So the dogs in the background, the moving the blinds, you guys are real. You really live in Barrie. This is our community, people, and people seem to dig it.
Absolutely. Yeah. People come in all the time. Like we're not like, there's not a multi-billion-dollar corporation behind us, right? It's just us.
Yeah.
People come in and they say, oh, the person that was working here, what's her shift? All of the shifts. Like it's all of them. It's just us. It's just us, a line of credit, and a whole bunch of hopes and dreams.
I love it. And that's the scariest way to start a business, often the funnest way to start the business, the most fulfilling. When I started my business, it was like pennies remaining, the same story as many other people eating Mr. Noodles. And even though in the fitness world, I had to just stop my healthy-ish eating or the amount I was eating, lost a bunch of weight, but it was worth it in the end. And I was able to get back to it.
Yeah,
so
we've been very fortunate. We've been able to grow steadily along the way, thanks to the support of Simcoe County and the people around here. Like we were online, then we were able to get into a little bit of a bigger space inside the Mexico restaurant. Another great shout out to some really great people that make some amazing vegan Mexican food. Gave us a great opportunity to get going, and now we're about to take over a larger space, a few doors up from our current location. That gives us the ability to expand when that time is right into that sober bar. So it's been a journey, that's for sure. But it's been a journey of growth and meeting some amazing people.
And I love it. I love these stories. That's why we built this. Entrepreneurs only that come on this show, because I look at entrepreneurship. It's not just a way of make money. I really look at it, and I think a lot of people do. Honestly, I don't think this is unique to me, as a way of life. I think we're about to get into this question, which relates to this, but I think as humans, we are born with incredible potential. It may be limitless. I don't know that there's been a single person who, before they died, said, I've maxed out my body, my emotions, and my mind. There's probably always something more to learn. So as far as I'm concerned, limitless, but it's hard earned. You can't just sit on a couch, watch Netflix and become what you're capable of. So entrepreneurship, as we know, is stressful, whether you're growing in decline or stagnation, constant problems, putting out fires, have to put ideas into reality. So it really is a avenue for us to figure out what we're capable of. And I think it allows us the opportunity to leave a great impact, especially on the local level for our community, because hopefully our products and service solve a problem. So I love what you guys are doing. We have monthly events for entrepreneurs only every month on the last Wednesday of the month. And when you guys get that bar set up, I will definitely be talking to you, because I'd love to bring however many you can fit, 60 to 100 entrepreneurs, and just get that experience, because I don't know, it's exciting to me. I think what you guys are doing is great. And I love that you're the only one. I imagine 5-10 years from now, you probably won't be, because I think this is a hell of an idea. So for you, Jeff, what puts a smile on your face out of work and family?
Out of work and family?
Yeah. What do you get up to out of
I
those?
don't know, buddy. Right now, I'm running on 2 jobs, and we got 3 kids in university and 1 kid in last year of high school. There's not much to do outside of work and family these days. And Shannon already took the dogs, so I can't duplicate. What am I going to say?
So let me ask you this then. If you weren't working and the family was on vacation for 2 weeks, what would you be up to?
I'd be up to figuring out why they left on vacation without me, first of all. I'd be doing a little bit of sleuthing on that particular front, but other than that, man, no. Like, I'll be honest, it sounds cliche, but it is work, but I love connecting with our customers. That puts a huge smile on my face. But outside of that, man, I love going to the gym. I was really we were in a great groove of running. I loved when I was running on a regular basis with the store and the blah blah blah. You know, hard to keep up the good habits. So it's something I'm really excited once things slow down and the new store opens, and we can kind of get back into our grooves, to get back into putting some kilometers under my feet and lifting up and putting down heavy things.
Yeah, I love it. Right. That's what we do in the gym. We just lift up and put down heavy things.
That's it.
What's your sport? I lift heavy things. I
lift up heavy things and I put down heavy things. It's there till I get too tired to do it again.
What gym do you go to?
It's here, buddy. It's all here. Yeah. So just before the pandemic, we lucked out and we were able to, like, everything you can do at Planet Fitness, we can do in our garage. We lucked out with a really good Facebook find just a month before the shutdown. So it was perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah, I got my own little thing over there. But when I really want to spoil myself, I don't know if you've been or heard of them before, but they are a big deal. Athletic Culture in Barrie is just it's just a haven. It's a mecca for the gym. So if you ever get a chance to check it out, those are our buddies over there. Nice. I mean, if you ever go to like Venice Beach in California, that is the actual mecca for bodybuilding. Those gyms are mind-blowing, and somehow they found a way to afford to do that here, which is insane. But if you ever have a moment to check it out, it's a fantastic place. So let's pivot a little bit, keep on the personal or the business, depending on how you guys decide to answer this. But I was just alluding to a minute ago that I strongly believe that if you're going to really find out what you're capable of, you must do hard things. A simple example is, I think one way or another, hard is coming our way. So I think it's prudent for us to choose our hard rather than life choosing the hard for us. So it's like, if I choose pleasure in the moment, eat and get overweight, then life will put that hard on me by disease, by a lack of fulfillment, by brain fog, by et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or I could choose my hard, go to the gym. It's painful, needs commitment, needs discipline, but then benefit from the reward along the way. So hard is coming our way one way or another. And one of the things that we want to be a part of on the show is there's a number of other shows and scientists talking about this idea, is that sharing our hardships amongst another. I won't get into too much of the why behind that, but it's very powerful for a couple of reasons. One, we stop looking at it as a burden, or that I'm a victim of the pandemic, or I'm a victim of addiction. It's like, there's an opportunity in here. If we talk about it enough and we share with people the value of switching our mindset to look for the opportunity rather than feel like I'm being crushed by the weight on my shoulders, that's a life change dramatically. Those are two totally different paths. So every entrepreneur has faced hardships in business alone. I think every human has faced significant hardships. For sure. It's like we all have our Lord of the Rings journey, right? We all got to go through Mordor type of thing. But we love to ask the guests on the show, are there any trials, tribulations, hardships that you're willing to share with us that probably sucked in the moment? Because hard doesn't feel that good. But when you look back in hindsight, you would not remove that ingredient from the recipe that has become you, because you wouldn't be who you are today.
Ooh, great question. Well, anything really, well, not anything. Like you can't again paint everything with the same brush, but everything, like if it isn't hard, right? If it's easy, if it's too easy to get, where am I going with this, Jeff? Anything hard is worth doing, right? Anything easy, like if it's an easy path, and we didn't maybe learn a lesson along the way, or we didn't experience anything to overcome to get to that goal. I don't know, man. Starting the business was hard. Just taking that first leap was hard, right? We go to the easy all the time. We go to work, we come home, we put our feet up, we get our paycheck, we pay the bill, and we do it again. And then we do it again. And then we do it again, right? Because we have that routine that's safe, right? Like trying to formulate my thoughts. I'm word diarrheaing a lot in my head, and I'm trying not to have it just spill out in just word vomit.
Can I narrow it for you? Can I narrow
Sorry?
it for you a little bit? Because you're talking about the same things, but maybe I can narrow this path a little bit for you. You were overweight at some point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you regret that, knowing what it's resulted in now? Like you wish that never happened?
I can't regret anything that happened in my life. And I won't. It's the butterfly effect. You change one thing in the ripple 5 years ago. I'm not sitting where I'm sitting now, and I love where I'm sitting now. But circle back to your hard question. The starting was hard because we're getting out of that comfort zone. We're getting out of that routine, right? Growth only happens when we move outside of that comfort zone, right? We're gonna stay, and if we stay in our sandbox, we're gonna make the same sandcastle, the size of that sandcastle we've always made. If we want to make a bigger sandcastle, we got to go to a bigger sandbox. So that's where growth happens. And change is scary for a lot of people. Making that leap is huge scary. We've got, like I said, we got 3 kids in university. We got another kid in our last year of high school. We've got a mortgage. We've got loan. We've got all those same things everybody else has. But we had to take a leap of faith. We had to trust. We had to trust in our idea. We had to trust in our future. We had to trust in the plan, and make that hard leap. And we have cried. We have fought. We have sat on a couch like this back to back over decisions before. We have made mistakes galore. We have flushed a ton of money the wrong way down. We flushed a ton of product because we didn't know. We've learned a ton of lessons. But dude, that was the hardest, scariest thing we ever did, was the day she quit her job to focus on this full time and say, this is it, we're going for it. That was a tough day.
So it was really hard because I quit my job to open the business. And before we even got to have our grand opening, we were shut down. So we won't get into that too much because there's a whole other story we can get into there. But
shut down because of COVID?
No. We started after COVID. We started our retail store in May. I was gone on a ladies' weekend, and Jeff got news from the landlord that we had to go. We couldn't stay there, and he let me enjoy my weekend. And I came home to meet me at the house, not at the store. And I got home and said, yes, so no more store. We can't be there anymore. So there were some misunderstandings with the landlord, and we worked through them. And a month later, we were able to reopen. But I will tell you, for that month when I had just left my job to start this new business and we were shut down, that was a lot of hard. But what it did for us was really make us think, is this a sign that we're not meant to do this? Like maybe we're just supposed to pack this all up and we're done. But it really made us reevaluate our why. And our why wasn't so much about we want to open a store and we want to do our own thing and I want to leave my job. Our why was we wanted to help people. We knew that we had something when we had people coming and crying when they met us at markets because we were making a difference for them in some way that seems so insignificant can be so huge in someone else's life. And so just evaluating the why was really, we need to keep doing this. Like it doesn't matter that this has stopped us. We're looking for the next space then. Like we're going to pivot and figure out maybe we're doing events somewhere else. Maybe we didn't know what it looked like. We just knew that we had to keep going. And so, knowing your why gets you through those hurdles. And then instead of it being like you were saying, I'm a victim, it's more like, okay, where do we need to pivot? What does this look like now? Because we know that this needs to keep happening. So how do we make that keep happening?
Most things that are worth doing aren't easy. Like the hard things would give you the most, at the end of it, give you the most satisfaction in terms of, I did that, right? Because if it was easy, we'd all do it.
Yeah. And I mean, you're taking that, just imagine us taking a grade 6 math test now, 25 years later, you take the same math test every month. It was like, what are you getting from it?
I don't know. They're teaching new math now.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was a bad example. He's like, no, that's going to be hard.
That's going to be hard. But shout out to my grade 6 math teacher. I do have a calculator with me everywhere I go now, Mr. Kreskin. So there you go.
Yeah. No, first off, Jeff, awesome for letting Shannon enjoy that weekend rather than just totally throwing a wrench in the spokes, saying, hey,
all over her awesome weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're now going to turn this podcast into a relationship podcast because you guys have started that now. But to you, Shannon, because so many people have been through that same thing, that month, that crazy time, that weekend, that week, that year, whatever it is. And sometimes maybe even people listening, once this is published, how do I actually do it? Yes, they told me that they got through it. I think I will survive it, but I feel like I'm not going to survive. How do I deal with that? Any advice to the people listening outside of that why, which I think is hugely important, and I hope they hang on to that. There's a great quote, you have a strong enough why, the how becomes easy. So it's like pour as much effort into that why, get as deeply rooted as possible. For most of us, making tons of money isn't good enough. It just doesn't seem to be good enough, because when you ask that deathbed conversation question, which I love that mental experiment, what has been my life? What's been the value of my life on my final day? Making tons of money just doesn't seem to land for most of us. So what kind of things do you meditate? Do you do yoga? Did you journal? Did you talk to Jeff every day? What got you through that month?
So there's a lot. I do have a belief in God. And so there's a lot of prayer involved there, a lot of close friendships and family that were there as a sounding board. My sister came up regularly, and, she's very good at putting a positive on things and going like, share your story. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. I wanted to hide. Jeff kept saying, like, I feel like we want to crawl under a rock and hide when this happened. But she was really inspiring to like, no, like people love to hear like the story of, this is one day going to turn around, and just live it out for them. So I did that on social media, which is totally out of my comfort zone. But there was just a lot of support from a lot of people, including our customers. They went to supporting us online, and we were running to the store to fill orders still. And at one point I was crying because it felt like I'd just come back from the store and another order would come in. Just so much support from people. And so you rely on your supports. And for us, that's connections with family, friends, and small groups and prayer.
Customers, a lot of our regular people would reach out to us and gave us a lot of encouragement during that month of unknown.
So if I could summarize that into a couple of points, faith is a big foundation for you, but what I heard overwhelmingly was your deep connections with other human beings.
Yeah, for sure.
And understanding why you're doing it. That's of course important, but once we have our why, how do we actually do the things? It's amazing what a group of people, whether on board for the same mission or adjacent or indirectly connected to this mission, just by letting them know what's going on and just that sometimes just having these conversations. I imagine you and Jeff had countless conversations throughout that month. It's fantastic. And then for the other people that are maybe starting right now or are worried to start, can we just be realistic with the amount of hours you guys work in a week? I think that's important, right? Because a lot of people think, okay, my own business, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to have freedom. I'm going to agency over my own life. Don't have to talk to a boss. All of these things sound great, but what's the cost? At the beginning, for many of us, it's like 60 to 80 hour weeks, weekends, early mornings. How much do you guys work?
So I think there are, what is it, 152 hours in a week?
Something like that, yeah.
I think we're working 176 in total. I'm pretty sure. We
don't sleep or do anything else. We work.
No, well, no, not. It's pretty much everything. Because I have an 8 to 5. I have an 8 to 5 job. So, and I try to do my very best to keep those two worlds separate, to respect my employer through the day, right? And then so there's also a 5:30 to 10 job, and Shannon's recently, when Google did an update back in April and kicked small business kind of way off the web. So Shannon's been working day and night on a brand new website that we're almost ready to launch. So the reality of it, my friend, is right now it's all consuming. It's all consuming. We have the store open at 37 Dunlop Street West. So now we're also currently getting 15 Dunlop Street West going, because that's our new space, right? So, we're at Shannon's at the store, I'm at work, we come home, walk the dogs, get into the store, paint, sand, clean, right? Get home, fill some online orders. Okay, get that shipped out tomorrow. It's a lot, my friend. It's all of them. It's all of the hours.
And is it worth it?
Oh, 100%. Wouldn't change it for maybe for $1 billion.
I was going to say, are you about to put a B on that?
Nah.
The M I agree with, but the B,
you know what? For $1 billion, yeah, you can. We'll take it and go.
Yeah, Shannon, we're getting on a boat, traveling the world.
See you later. We can take that vacation together finally. You don't have to leave me behind.
But worth it. All of that time. Three kids or four? Four kids. 3
in university, 3 away school this year, and 1 in her last year of high school.
You got 300 pounds of dog troubling up your house, causing chaos. You got 2 businesses. Shannon, how much are you at 35 Dunlop, is it?
33 Dunlop Street West.
So we open at noon every day. So in the morning, I've been desperately trying to rebuild a website, and that's talking about skills you learn. I'm not a computer programmer, so that's been a fun adventure. Then we're at the store until about 6 or 7, depending on the day. And then we come home and we go over to the new store and work on getting the new store ready. And in between that, trying to plan some events that we'd like to host, and it's usually quite consuming.
Yeah.
And walk the dogs, and eat healthy, and stay mentally focused, and. But,
it's amazing, those ands, though. I look at that as like, I don't know if you guys are into video games. There's a lot of younger audience. Well, I mean, younger 30s, 40s. There's a lot of video game players out there. You look at those ands. Your character starts off at the beginning of the game with nothing.
Yep.
And then there's the and. You add something, and by the end of the game, this character has transformed entirely. And it's just a very simple metaphor. It's easy for me to understand. That is what us humans can do. It seems like the baseline just keeps going if you want it to go and have a strong enough reason to do it. Most people, when they hear working 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks, no way. Based on my past experience of work, no way. But work changes when it's your own thing that you're creating. You switch that word from work to my vision or my purpose. I define work a little bit differently than most people. I think there's a negative connotation to that word. But if you look at the actual definition, it's just physical or mental energy to the result of a purpose, some result or impact. So that could be anything. That could be the gym. That could be your love life. That could be your financial portfolio. But it's amazing when you really are molding your own environment, how much more you have in the tank. And I wanted to ask you guys that because with us speaking to entrepreneurs every day or potential entrepreneurs, you can get almost anything you want in life, but you got to know the cost and be willing to pay it. And right now, you guys are paying that cost in a big way. But I can't wait to see the result of that. So let's pivot to our last couple of questions. I like this example because it was given to me and I thought it was a good mental experiment. You're on stage, right? They just walk you up stage. They hand you the mic. They say, you got 90 seconds. Your audience is out there of thousands, whatever people. They give you 90 seconds to speak to them, to ex-customers, current customers, people who have never heard of you. What do you take that 90 seconds to tell them? What do you want to say to the people that you can impact?
In summary, or you want the full 90 seconds? Because I can give you the summary in probably one word. It's grateful. It's absolutely grateful for, if we're talking to past customers, we appreciate your support. If we're talking to current customers, we love you. Thank you for coming in. If we're talking to potential future customers, we appreciate you checking us out and giving us the opportunity to serve you and show you what we can do and show you how our products can help you either with recovery, whether with health, whether with mental, or whether with just wanting to try something different and buck the system, so to speak, right? We're grateful for all the opportunities for the staff and the owners over at Mexico to give us the opportunity. We're grateful and thankful for my cousin Kim. You had the good wax on before, for giving us the push and the nod. We're grateful for you for giving us this platform for connecting and reaching to people. I'm thankful for my wife for the support and the challenges that she gives me in this business and in my life. I'm grateful for our kids to be there to give us some drive and motivation to build a future that's better for them. So I would take my 90 seconds and say thank you to everybody, and then take the other 85 seconds and go around and shake as many hands and give as many hugs and high fives as I possibly could.
Well, you pretty much just did that virtually. Very cool.
Right.
Very cool. Shannon, you want to add anything to that?
I think he pretty much summed it up.
Just nailed it, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This question is not a part of it. I'll keep this secret because some people script their answers and we don't want that. Off the cuff seems to work best.
Well, do. If it's the cheat code for Contra, I can give it to you.
Contra. Oh my God damn. So this podcast really is an extension of myself and my partner. So there's only a handful of things in my life that I study, that I participate in, and they bleed into here, like the addiction counseling. It has nothing to do with this podcast, comes up all the time. But impact, purpose, fitness, hard work, certainly, mentorship, these types of things I talk about often because I find them valuable for me, sharing your story, et cetera, hopefully valuable for other people. I've been very, very lucky, very grateful to have some phenomenal mentors in my life that changed the trajectory of my life completely. And in my early 20s, this woman is still in my life now, a huge influence over me. She encouraged me to consider my impact. She asked me, have you ever thought about what you've left behind in your life, or what kind of impact you've had on this world? At 23, the answer was no. It's like girls, parties, cars, sports, typical boy, jock hockey player type thing. But she encouraged me to really think about that. Like, you are born, you will die. You don't know when, but it's going to happen. What is the net result of you? So to really consider your impact on this planet, it could be negative, it could be positive, indifferent in some way. And from that moment, it took a little while for that seed to kind of germinate and flourish, but it really has been the main driver. And I have all my rules of the person I want to be inked on my arm. There it is, my man, so it keeps me straight. And the top 5 are all about what my impact is to me, and to make sure that I'm very clear on that. And it is the compass for my life, without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm just so curious about what goes on in other humans' heads, as I think we're much more similar than we are different. So we love to ask the guests on the show, Shannon, Jeff, what would you like your impact to be?
I took the last one.
Wow, this is a tough one. When you mentioned mentors, I wouldn't say this was specifically a mentor, but it was definitely something that was left with me and has stuck. So I had a teacher when I was going to school in social service work, and he encouraged our class that no matter where we went, whether it was a room in the classroom, whether it was somewhere else, to leave that place better than when we entered it. And so for me, that would be a goal, that in some small way, and maybe it's not always huge, but in some small way, wherever I go, I leave that place a little bit better than it was. That's what I would like to be able to do.
It's amazing. I think I have it right here, right at the bottom. It says, "Leave the world better than you found it. Live well, live bravely, and meet death with a smile." And I think if we just have that simple intention, it could just be you putting a smile on my face, and now my energy goes up. And then I go talk to my team, and I'm talking to them with more kindness and a little bit slower, not so agitated. Lifts their energy, and it keeps rippling out. I think our line of sight for our impact goes way beyond what we can actually see. And I think it's just rooted in our intentions. Who do we want to be in these moments from moment to moment? If that's the choice, then I think you are making the world a better place. And I imagine it's much bigger than you think. And what more could you ask for from a fellow human to just simply wake up and try to make it a little bit better? Imagine if all 8 billion of us did that every day. I think our planet would look at least a little different, maybe very different. Anything to add to that, Jeff?
I would say it doesn't take a lot of effort to be kind. I would almost argue that it takes a lot more effort to be a jerk.
A dick,
right?
I would agree. Yep.
Like when I think like Shannon was saying earlier, we're God believers, and there's a spot in the Bible called the fruit of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, patience, peace, kindness, self-control. Like all of those things, whether you're a believer or not, are just great ways to kind of get out there and face the world with love, with joy, with patience, with peace, with kindness, with self-control. Like get out there and be that person that your kids can look up to. Be that person that you want to be, how you want to be treated, right? Be grateful, be thankful. Like the world doesn't owe us anything. Like we should be thankful that we're able to be here. The odds of us winning the birth lottery to be in Canada, to be in North America, to
apparently it's 1 in 400 trillion.
Right.
Apparently
right?
That's what it is. I got it right here.
There you go.
Never lies.
Like, come on, man. Like we can walk down the street kicking stones and with a cloud over our head. But you know, if we all remember Eeyore, like he was always having a bad time, right? Like be a little bit of Rue, right? Like be a little bit like, let's just go out and spread that joy and spread that kindness and be grateful for what we got, man. Like we'll be a lot better place. Look, each of us did it, but we don't. Not all of us do. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong, Jeff. I'm not saying that's an easy switch to flick, right? Like we've all got weights on our shoulders. We've all got bosses, you know, we're breathing down our necks and bills, you know, piling up and arguments with the neighbor and disagreements with our partner and kids are acting up. It's not easy. But like we talked about a little bit ago, things that are hard they're worth doing, right?
They are. Choosing
kindness, choosing joy, choosing happiness rather than letting those clouds be over your head, man, oh man, you'll have a much better outcome at the end.
Could you imagine? Let's just flip the scenario. Can you imagine our world was just easy and kindness and love, and that's how it's been for ages? No one would be talking about be kind, be grateful, be this and that, because that's our baseline now. That's what you wake up with every day. But instead, we wake up with emotions and we wake up with frustration and there's anxiety and one challenge after another and somebody cuts me off. And that's why, whether you're a God believer or not, what you just listed are some of the most universal virtues across philosophies, whether it's Stoic or Buddhism or Confucianism or Christianity or any of them. They all talk about the same thing because these will mold any human being for a net positive result. There's other things that can be in there as well between cultures, different parts of the world, sure. But joy, kindness, temperance, courage, these types of things help all of us and take intention. We need to think about them, but have massive return on investments, huge deals of them. And you just make the world a better place. You make your people more enjoyable around you, yourself included. It's been fantastic talking to you guys, man. I love this story that you guys have shared. I love what you're doing. Let's share with the audience what's the best way to get a hold of you guys. So website, phone number, email, socials, give us all.
So this is our social media manager,
okay,
and graphic designer and marketing manager. So
awesome. You wear a lot of hats, Shannon.
Not awesome at any of them, but I'm learning a lot. We are on all socials, so you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram. Jeff does TikTok. And you can find us at sobersips.ca.
Beautiful. So sobersips.ca. You got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and they just can type in Sober Sips.
Yeah, just type Sober Sips Barrie and you'll find us, no problem.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then one more time, what is it? 33 Dunlop West?
Currently at 33 Dunlop Street West, moving to 15 Dunlop Street West. So we're still not very hard to find.
Beautiful. I love you guys. Have been this has been a real treat for me. You are the first of your kind on here. I always like getting two business owners as well, knowing that you guys are married. It's the epitome of what we talk about with that local mom and pop shop in the most literal sense.
Fun fact for you too, Shannon, she was my first date when we were 16. My mom had to drive us around for our first date in high school.
Now, have you guys stayed connected since then, or did you go on your own paths and come back?
I took the long road, Jeff.
Yeah.
I took the scenic route.
Once Jeff commits, he commits all in. He just needs a little time. You sound a lot like me, man.
Once a Jeff is in, a Jeff is in.
We got to put that on the social post once we publish this. Once a Jeff is in, the Jeff is in. You guys have been great, man. Until we talk again, which I will be coming by that place. You guys have a great afternoon.
Be well. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, guys.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.